blue light is a spectrum, a color in the visible spectrum, which means that the light that we see, we have different colors, have different wavelengths. Blue light has the shortest wavelength and so the highest energy in the visible spectrum. The source of all light in nature is the sun. In nature, blue light does not exist in isolation. It's always paired with either red, infrared, and UV light.
And infrared we can't see. It's just heat, basically.
Yes. Red light you can see. That's why the sunrise in the morning is red. And UV light, you can't see it, but you can feel it.
That's going to be like deep red and far red. And then as you go further on the color spectrum, then you're going to have infrared. And so you're getting all those reds. Because as a cannabis farmer, I was familiar with different light spectrums. In the beginning of the cycle, I would want a spectrum that had more blue relative to the red to keep the internodal spacing on the plant shorter, kind of emulating that grow season where in the springtime you have longer days and there's more blue spectrum in the sunlight than there is in the autumn when you have shorter days and it's starting to be more red dominant in that color spectrum.
So because blue light doesn't exist in isolation in nature, your body is only used to handling it when it also has red light with it, okay? Blue light in isolation on its own is toxic to the cell. The way it works is your mitochondria are tiny organelles in your cell that generate energy. They are what we call like the power plant of the cell. Mitochondria generate energy using electron currents in certain proteins called cytochromes. These cytochromes, pretty incredibly, are light sensitive. And they are sensitive to specific frequencies of light. So red light is good for them, makes them run more efficiently. Blue light is not good for them when it is isolated from LED light.
So wearing blue light blocking glasses at nighttime, but being exposed to the skin by artificial light still has a negative impact.
Yes, not ideal.
Not ideal.
But the main reason you wear blue blocking glasses at night is the effect of blue light on your circadian rhythm. So blue light only comes from the sun in nature. So when your body senses blue light at night, it thinks that it's noon or something. So that's why if say sunset happens and then you turn the lights on, that messes your circadian rhythm where all of a sudden your body thinks it's noon again.
Yeah. So when I was growing cannabis, which I did for 17 years, I always had indoor facilities as well as outdoor grows. In the indoor facilities, because the lights produce so much heat, the lights and the dehumidifiers to keep the proper climate produce so much heat, you're better off to have a cheaper electrical bill to run your lights at nighttime. So for several years of my life, at 8 or 9 p.m., my lights would come on in a grow facility and I would go into the grow facility and work. And after several years of that, I started to become aware that like, wait a second, this is tricking my physiology into thinking it's daytime and my sleep is absolutely wrecked. So I finally just came to the conclusion that I'm just going to pay a much higher electrical bill and have my lights come on at 4 or 5 in the morning and go off at 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So then I could wake up with the sun and go in and work with the plants as opposed to doing that at nighttime. And so I currently at my house, because I've become so sensitive to the light, like when my wife and I first met, actually, I remember she came into the house and she's like, we got to change all these bulbs. I'm like, we just met, babe. What do you mean I got to change all these bulbs, right? But since then, I swapped all the bulbs out for 21 Kelvin or 2000 Kelvin, very warm lights. They're much dimmer. And then at nighttime now, we have fixtures throughout the house that have red LEDs, and we turn on all of those so that we have very little, if not no blue light in the house. And I sleep better. I'm less I feel with the better sleep and having a better circadian rhythm, I'm less foggy and sluggish throughout the day.
If you're exposed to blue light after sunset, it messes with your melatonin synthesis. And you don't get that melatonin rise that you want, because naturally it starts at the moment that the sun sets and you gradually build up the melatonin until that when you get to bed, you're completely ready for bed. Well, the way we do it nowadays is we're exposed to artificial light until we go to bed, and then the melatonin synthesis starts. So that's why we have difficulty getting to bed.
Or going into deeper stages of sleep, right? Because I feel like I was clearly able to fall asleep, but I don't think I was actually getting good sleep. I think I was like passing out because I was so physically exhausted. But I don't think I was getting into those deeper levels of sleep. I wasn't fully recuperating. And it was years of my life like that.
Yeah, and the reason the glasses work is the most sensitive signal to your melatonin synthesis is the eyes. So if you still have to be exposed to artificial light at night, at least wear the glasses, because that still helps.
And what about fireplaces or looking at flames? Like I would imagine people evolved for thousands or hundreds of thousands of years sitting next to campfires and that not having the same negative impact.
Yeah, the blue light there is balanced by red and infrared. So
that makes sense.
It feels a lot more natural to your body. It's not ideal to be, beside it all the time at night. You want to also be in complete darkness, but as a light source, like using candles even, is a lot better than using any artificial light.
And what about the color spectrum of the sun changing throughout the day? Is that morning light very important to get? Is it different than the afternoon sunlight?
Yeah, so the most important sun to see is the morning sun. Ideally, you want to see the sunrise. But if as close to sunrise as possible, that's kind of a minimum. And the reason is so as the sun gets higher in the sky, the percentage of its rays that are red and infrared go down. So there's more UV light during the day. That red and infrared in the morning helps start something called the TCA cycle, which helps start your metabolism. So if you're not getting that red light in the morning, there's no turn on switch for your proper metabolism during the day. It's that powerful.
Interesting. What about red light therapy? People are using LEDs and it's going to be very isolated spectrum. I think it's 660 nanometers is the measurement or the light spectrum coming out of most of the red light therapy lights fixtures that people use.
Yeah, so these are helpful. I mean, there are studies showing that it helps with like muscle recovery, with joint pains. There's even a study showing that it lowers blood sugar. Thing about it though is that it's only one or two spectra in the red spectrum, while the sun gives you all the colors. And so there's no replacement for the sun.
Yeah, that's what sounds. So you've gone down the Jack Cruz rabbit hole.
Yes, I'm a big fan of his work. I've learned a lot from him. So
yeah, he definitely. At times I'm a little confused by him. I think he said like seed oils are number 8 on the list, but the number 1 is like blue light and you need sunlight. And sometimes I'm not quite sure about that. I've heard him I've heard him say quite literally like what you eat doesn't matter so much as long as you're getting sunlight. And I don't know if that's accurate.
He has to exaggerate because he's the pioneer in that field. That's how you get attention to your field. But light is very important.
And seed oils, how do they affect your ability to tan and not get skin cancer? Because that's something that I've been hearing a lot about.
Yeah, so there's no direct studies looking at like how the sun affects you if you're eating vegetable seed oils or not. But there's a lot of anecdotal evidence of people saying, I stopped getting sunburn after stopping seed oils. If you look at studies in mice, you see that if they're fed a high seed oil diet, their skin is more likely to oxidize when exposed to UV light. So those studies in mice. In humans, there are studies showing that a higher intake of vegetable seed oil is associated with higher risk of skin cancer.
Yeah, well, then you need medication and sunscreen, and now you're sucked into the matrix even further.
Mm-hmm.